some of every kind, which, when it was full, they drew to shore, and they sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but threw the bad away. So far, it's a fishing illustration, something that you've probably seen today personally. If not, you've been watching those Discovery Channel fishing trials and so forth. And what they do is they throw a big net, and you know when the net comes up, they grab all kinds of assortment of fishes. Some fishes are poisonous, some fishes are not good for consumption, some fishes are against the law, and some fishes are ugly looking and they're small and tiny, and they throw them all back into the sea. But they only keep what kind of fish? Good fish. So there's a deliberate, intended separation. And that's what God's going to do, that he's going to separate. Now notice how he changes from an actual illustration of an everyday life. Now he switches to it sometime in the future based on this illustration. So we'll read it again from the get-go, verse 47. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet that was cast into the sea, and they gathered some of every kind, which when it was full they drew to shore, and they sat down and gathered the good into vessels, but threw the bad away. Verse 49. So it will be at the what? At the end of the age, the angels will come forth. There's the second word again for the second time. Separate the wicked from among the what? The just.
Yes.
And cast them into the furnace of fire. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. So Jesus here makes a reference that in the end times there's going to be a deliberate severance, what I will call a divine discrimination. When we think of discrimination, right away we think, racial, ethnic. No. When you neutralize that word, when you neutralize that word, it's not discrimination of any race. Discrimination is basically making a quality choice. So here we see a judgment or ruling and a verdict. We see here an eternal separation, a deliberate severance. And then here, I can't put it in any sweet, sugar-coated words, but there is an eternal damnation, a condemnation to hell, and forever eternal punishment. How else Jesus would say this, where there's wailing and gnashing of teeth? That is eternal torment. There's no other way that I can share this. I wish I could tell you, and God have something for you. It's not going to be pleasant. And it leaves it mysterious with a question mark and a bunch of sugar-coated stuff in it. And I can't. I got to tell you the way it is, because Jesus is not sugar-coating the aspect of it. There is a deliberate separation. And notice what he says in verse 49. So it will be at the end of the age. It almost sounds like the parable of the tares explained to us. Notice what Jesus said in verse 36 of the same chapter. Jesus sent the multitudes away, and when he went to the house, and the disciples came to him saying, explain to us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said to them, he who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seeds are the sons of the kingdom, but the tares or the weeds are the sons of the wicked one. The enemy who sowed them is the devil. The harvest is when? Is the end of the age, and the reapers are who? The angels. Therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of this age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out his kingdom all things that offend and those things that practice lawlessness. And what is he going to do with those things that offend and practice lawlessness? Verse 42. He will cast them into the furnace of fire, and there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth. What about the righteous? Verse 43. Then the righteous will shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. When we come to Matthew chapter 25, the Bible says that he will gather the people, all the nations, in the end of the age, at the end of the world, the end of the age. The Bible says that Jesus will hold all the nations for judgment. And he separates them. He separates them by calling them goats and sheep. The sheep are in his right hand. The goats are in his left hand. And he told the sheep on the right hand, enter into the glory of my Father. For I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. I was in prison, you visited me. I was in the hospital, you visited me. And then they will ask, Lord, when did we see you naked? When did we see you poor? When did we see you we never did anything. He says, I tell you, as much as you did it to some other people, you did it unto me. Enter into the kingdom of God. And then he turned to the sheep, to the goats rather. And he says, depart from here, evil workers, for I was naked, I was thirsty. And they asked, but when did we see you and did not give you drink? When did we see you when you were naked and then I clothed you? When did we see you in prison and we never visit you? And he says, surely I say to you, if you did not do it to one of these little ones, speaking about the world, he says, I tell you what, for this you're going to be cast away, where there's gnashing and wailing. Away with you. And there is a deliberate separation. There's going to be a judgment day. A lot of people make fun of the Christian. Oh, you believe in the judgment day, my friends. There is a judgment day. I wonder what was in the mind of those 100+ passengers in Flight 214 in San Francisco. I wonder what's in their mind when they realized when they hit, when they was going over the tarmac and all hell is breaking loose, literally and figuratively. I've seen when we drop just around 12, 15 feet drop in the plane, just 15 feet. We're just cruising and there's an air pocket and the plane goes down just 15 feet, boom, and everybody feels, hi. And right away they start doing their exercises. Oh, God, forgive me, God. They start doing all kinds of semantics because they go, I got to get things right. And when I have my Bible open, it seems like now, what are you reading? After we felt that experience in turbulence, what are you reading? Oh, I'm reading about hell. Judgment. And the peace of God. Well, tell me about the peace of God. No, let me tell you about the judgment first. And they don't believe there's going to be a judgment, but the Bible records it's a time of God's punishment and refining of the evil in the world, especially in the final history-ending time of eternal judgment. The expression day of judgment appears more than several times in the Bible as a frightful day of dread, Hebrews 10:27. It is connected with the wrath of God, Hebrews 12:29, and only can be overcome through the mature faith in Jesus Christ. It is closely connected with the second coming of Christ. It is part of the end-time events connected with the close of human history. Several biblical terms are closely related to the concept of the judgment day. The Bible refers this to the wrath of God, the judgment of God, the judging of God, the condemnation of God, the punishment of God, the penalty of God, the vengeance of God, the judgment seat of God, destruction of God, and the ruin of God. Now, some people don't believe in judgment, an eternal judgment. But listen, do you understand that people get away with murder? There are people get away with stealing and doing some dastardly deeds to you, to society, to your children, and they get away with it just because there was not a video, there was no witnesses, and they get away with it. Listen, the Bible says that every secret of the heart will be exposed on the day of the tribunal when we meet God face to face. Every secret of the heart, every secret that is in there that you thought you got away with it, the Bible says it's going to be exposed. All men will stand before the judgment bar of God in order that his righteousness may be vindicated. And as the Bible says in Hebrews 9:27, it is appointed for men to die once, and after this comes judgment. And the Bible says that we shall all appear at the judgment seat of Christ. Men's conscience witnesses to the fact all good and evil are known by God and recorded in his indelible record. When you look at Revelation chapter 20, there we find the judgment of the white throne. There the Bible says that God will take of books and the book of life. 2 books in the tribunal desk of God. The book is of the deeds. Everything is recorded. Jesus said earlier in Matthew, by your own words you should be justified, and by your own words you should be condemned. Your own words will condemn you. Your own words will justify you in the day of judgment. And the Bible says that Jesus, which I believe is the judge in Revelation chapter 20, because in John chapter 5 says, all judgment has been given to the Son of Man. So the Son of Man will judge us. But the judgment is basically is not to condemn, but to discriminate. Ultimately, God's judgment is not to condemn, but to discriminate. He's going to take people, says you go this way, you go that way. Based on what? God, how do you know? The Bible says He has a book, the book of everything we have ever committed. You might have gotten away from the judge here in this earth, but you will not get away from the judgment to come. Amen. You're not going to get away. There's a judgment to come.
Well, today Pastor Pancho has been teaching us in the Gospel of Matthew, and we've been drawing further insights on the parables of Jesus in chapter 13. On today's program, I'm on the level. To get the latest news and information, simply go to our official website at ccmtv.com. There you can get all the contact information and the events that are going on here at Calvary Chapel, Montebello. Again, simply go to our official website at ccmtv.com. And for those of you that are interested in receiving more information on receiving a copy, a hard copy, simply reach us by phone today at 1-888-518-7744. That's 1-888-518-7744. Currently in the Gospel of Matthew. Simply mention today's program date if it's just today's study. And make it a point to join us for our next program, On the Level, with Pastor Pancho Lopez. On the Level Radio is brought to you by Calvary Chapel, Montebello in California.
89.7 and 99.7. The Bridge. Good morning. It's 10:50.